Alright guys, for you that are trying to copy ideas on this rack and headache rack, cargo rack system, none of this has to be identical. You don't need a pattern or measurements to go off of. You can kind of build it as you go, taking measurements off your cargo box. But thought process I went around was quick detach, but something that wouldn't move around in any way and be solid. So, the bed rails, they're permanent. Now they're removable, but you got to take out all the bed bolts on the top of the outer fender to remove it. That's what it attaches by. And I just leave that. There's no reason to take that on and off. But, sometimes when I'm doing stuff, I'm not hauling backpacks and gear. I just get rid of the headache rack. But here's kind of the system. There's the hooks that receive the turnbuckle to suck it down. That's a 3/8 dowel pin, welded in there solid from the top side. Of course, you can't see that. There's no weld on the bottom side because it would interfere. And then in the center of it, there's a 1/4" dowel pin to hold the center from moving forward or back into the windshield, keeps everything in place. And then the same thing over here, a little brace to keep things from, shaking back and forth, and that's all you need. It's short and steep, it doesn't take much. It's very light until you add this stuff. My previous rack on my other buggy just had bars going down all through the middle. But, all kinds of objects you're hauling inside there hit the window and rub it and scratch it up. So I wanted something to really protect my window better, at least the part that I look through and look out of. The top part, the way my rack system works now, the cargo rack up to the top, I didn't fill this in. And I've had some objects go through and rub the window up high, but it's above my vision through the mirror or anything. I don't really care, I guess. It's just food for thought for you if that's important to you. The window for me is just a tool to keep dust and snow out from back swirling in the winter. Primarily dust control, but also dry, powdery snow in the winter. I don't necessarily look out that center rear view mirror much. I use my side mirrors and that suits me just fine. Getting on to there's the bed extender. And there you can see the same 3/8 dowel pin on one side. And it's gonna have one, of course, on the other side over there that are gonna drop in holes on the bed rails and keep it from moving around. And then the cargo rack here. You can see that dowel pin, just one on each side at the bottom. And there's the little loop to suck it down with the turnbuckle. Nothing moves. It's hauled lots of cargo through very rough terrain. Excuse me while I jump up on my trailer. So here you can see the holes. That one's for the headache rack at the front. That one receives the cargo rack in the center. And that one receives the bed extender. And then in the cross member here, between the two bed rails, which the cross member you see bolts in, it's not one solid piece. But there's a 3/8 hole to receive the 1/4" stock on that one. This was important to me because, stuff's gonna definitely hauling in the bed here is gonna go through and it's gonna hit the window here. Now this is a super ATV somebody else made an almost identical window with a vent up here in the middle. And they didn't do see-through down here. They did hard, black, rugged plastic, which makes more sense. And then you wouldn't have the need really for all this protection, which adds some weight. The square tubing stuff, I used 3/4 and I used 1/2 inch on, you know, the braces in between, but it's very lightweight even in steel. Aluminum would be a better way to go if you have aluminum welding capability. But the cross member in between is important. With these on here, you know, everybody wants to grab these and stand up on the tire and pull themselves in. And without the cross member in between, this bed is not extremely sturdy. But this bed rail system makes it stronger. You can pull yourself up on the machine using it's very strong. Now, right at the very back, there is a slight wiggle, and I try not to pull back there. But with the cargo rack on, at the center point, locking everything together from side to side, and especially the bed extender on there, everything is more rigid and stronger than, you know, from factory. So whatever you do, have a cross member in between at the front. Don't just do bed rails without that, because you'll find that they'll wiggle if you pull on them, but this is stronger than the way it came, the way it is now. But maybe that gives you some thoughts. You know, it doesn't have to be identical. Like I said, food for thought. When you build this and put it in, make it sloppy, because this is coated in Line-X. And it adds thickness to it, obviously. And I made it sloppy with the idea of using shims to get it where I needed it, so all my holes lined up when I put the rack on. I had 2 or 3 shims per side when I started, and by the time it got Line-X'd, I've got 1 shim washer on this side, and I've got no shim washers on this side to make everything line up. You know, you build it, and if that varies when you tighten up these bolts, it'll pull things a little bit, and your holes won't line up. So it's just food for thought as you're building. You don't make it tight, because you'll regret it after it's coated if you coat it, and you'll have alignment issues.